strongest champion.
It's clear that Donald Trump doesn't believe we are stronger together.
We will not allow Donald Trump to become president of the United States.
To all of those Bernie Sanders voters who have been left out in the cold by a rigged system of superdelegates, we welcome you with open arms.
I'm going to take a moment later tonight and the days ahead to fully absorb the history we've made here.
Next Tuesday, we continue the fight in the last primary in Washington, D.C.
A lot of emotion there. Hillary Clinton claiming victory as the first female presidential nominee in American history, while making the case to Sanders to let her take on Trump, please. It's over in the fight for the White House. So let's bring in our political panel to do some incident analysis. Mark Esch is here, former advisor to the city of Detroit. Hogan Gidley is here, a former Huckabee communications advisor, among many other things. And Leslie Marshall is here, radio talk show host. Leslie, first off, how important is it for Sanders to get out quickly?
I think it's very important because Trump has momentum going into November that the Democrats and Hillary need. And he knows this, but he's all about this revolution. And if he is going to embrace Hillary, which I believe he will, unfortunately, I think he's going to wait until the end of July to do that, then you're losing time. Politics is a game. And the game has to do with numbers, and you need momentum to help build those numbers.
Also has a demo, Hogan, very young voters, very energetic voters, and they're very different voters.
It's not just that he get out quickly, it's how he gets out. Does he go out kicking and screaming, or does he go out trying to unify those who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton? If he comes out with the unification message, let's rally behind Hillary, you could see more of those folks go to Hillary than would if he just goes out in a ball of fire.
The difference between Hillary and Barack Obama in 2008 and Sanders and Hillary Clinton in 2016 is that they're very different, especially economically. Where is the give between Hillary and Sanders? That's what's got to happen, Mark.
There's no question about it. And I think as people are really looking at this, they're trying to make decisions. You know, as you get into the Trump versus Clinton conversation here, is am I going to go with someone who has spent the last 40 years working in government? You know, people poll and say that's the biggest problem facing America is government itself, or am I going to go with someone who's actually outside that space and has not spent time there?
Part of the reason why Hillary has done so well, why Sanders does so well against Donald Trump, because no one's really going after Sanders, because they said, well, we're not going to really waste our attack ads on him. Let's see what kind of trouble he could cause Hillary, and he did cause a lot. Now, as we switch to Donald Trump, he's making it clear he's going after Hillary. In a formal speech, he says he's going to lay it out on prompter, probably again, Leslie. So here's a little of what Donald Trump said yesterday.
The Clintons have turned the politics of personal enrichment into an art form for themselves. I am going to give a major speech on probably Monday of next week, and we're going to be discussing all of the things that have taken place with the Clintons. I think you're going to find it very informative and very, very interesting.
Important to start off that way? Is that a good move?
Well, it's a good move in a sense for him to attack his opponent, which is Hillary Clinton, not the Clintons. Bill Clinton was president. He is not running. And for some reason, Donald Trump and his supporters seem to not be able to grasp that. When you look at the speech last night, and he did a very good speech with that prompter. He needs that prompter.
People call it boring when he's actually scripted.
Well, he sounds more presidential. He stays more on point. And you really do need to attack your opponent at this point in the game and not be talking about a judge and ethnicities. Right. The problem is when you look at the tracking, as we heard earlier here on the program, when he does those types of attacks and personal attacks on her, he doesn't do so well. And I don't think that's going to resonate with the November type voter versus primary voter in independence.
Right, but nobody rallies Republicans like the Clintons. If he goes on a surgical attack on her and takes her piece by piece, it's going to be really good for him because the cake is baked on Hillary. People don't like her. She's untrustworthy. And the beauty of that attack is Republicans aren't the ones who levied it. It's Bernie Sanders saying she's the head of corruption. This entire campaign is not about Democrat, Republican. It's about establishment and corruption versus the people and how they've been the ones kicked in the face.
And who would be the better president by looking at the last job they had? One says, look at my company, I'm pretty proud of it. The other says, look, I was Secretary of State. Are you proud of it? That's where he wants to take her apart. Mark, in your book, In Saving America, you talk about the way government should run efficiently. How effective would it be for him to disseminate what she didn't accomplish and did accomplish as Secretary of State?
Look, you've got polls. Each of the the last 2 years that says that the #1 problem facing America is government itself. And so can you hire someone who spent 40 years working in that space or someone who's outside of that space? If you're going to open a new restaurant, you probably don't want somebody that serves lousy food, but at least it costs too much.
And if you run down the list and you say Iran, how did that work? If you run down the list, say a Russian reset, how did that work? If you want to say Syria, 400,000 dead, how did that work? What about the JV team? How did that work? Now is ISIS. Then Donald Trump all of a sudden doesn't have to talk Lewinsky. He could talk last 4 years.
If government is the biggest problem we face, do we really want someone who's actually worked to create that government over the last 40 years?
Right. She's the embodiment of that government, a government that doesn't work for the people. If he stays to that line of attack, he'll do really well.
It's going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to be able to take our eyes off it. And leading up to the convention, I don't think there'll be a dead period. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.